Hi Ben, how are you doing? Welcome to the tool shed. We just tried to have the intro going, but yeah, Starlink was not working today, so that was a big fail. Welcome and thank you for dropping by this office hours. Maybe you want to give me a little intro of what brought you today and how can I help with Notice?
Sure. The backstory is that I was tinkering with Lovable a couple of weeks ago and trying to build something that would bring AI to help me a little bit in my workflow. Um, I'm the CEO of the scale up here in France, and it's always interesting because I have a bunch of departments and a bunch of teams that I'm managing, and very often I come out of these meetings and I had always have these few minutes that I want to. On top of you have all those tools that record the meetings. That's one thing, but in my case, it's more the fact that when I'm out of the meeting, I
Yeah.
have a few very strong ideas that I want to record. Where I'm like, okay, that was a good meeting. This is important. This is important. This is important. And honestly, notes, minutes, note taking tools was really able to achieve what I wanted. So I wanted to have this and to translate some of those items into tasks for my task management tool, which was Todoist. It started like that. I was trying to build it on Unlovable and playing with Superbase and all this. And then I'm like, okay, before I spend too much time there, I should just make sure that there isn't a tool that is already doing something similar. My requirement was that I wanted to have a process that would work with multiple tools, which was Notion in one case and Todoist in the other one. And this is how ChatGPT told me to check out Notice. So that's how it started. I think it's super interesting because I always hated using Notice on my mobile because
Notion.
the app is Notion on my
I did the same.
smartphone because it's
Yeah.
very cumbersome, it's slow, just not very optimal compared to like other apps that are much more lightweight. But if of course I was just able to dictate stuff on my phone and then to spend more time reshuffling and managing my content on the desktop app, then that would totally work. And this is how I started my experimentation with Notice, which has been very very satisfying so far. Um, I think I realized that it's you kind of need honestly, I need a community right now because I have so many questions and I feel a little bit embarrassed to poke you all the time about them. So I wish there was a Discord where I could just jump and say, "Hey, are you guys? Have you guys figured out how to do this and that?" Because I'm probably right now I'm using your base shell in a way.
Yeah. Hmm.
I haven't added another database or because I was just too scared to break anything. But eventually I'm going to because I'm like, okay, there's this big notes and document. Um, in a way, I kind of want to use Notice to store all of my files now and not have to put some on Google Drive. And before that's what I used to do, right? I had like a page on Notion that would point to a link on Google Drive. But then, of course, if I do this, Notice is enabled to use the files as context and to use it as part of its how do you call that, RAG.
Yeah, rag and query as well. So, well, thank you so much, Ben, for the intro. Just before I reply to this, because this inspires me a lot of stuff. What do you scale up about?
We're a fintech doing smartphone and an IT product rental. So we do we have two brand, a B2C and a B2B brand. The B2C brand is called mobile.club, and you can come and rent your smartphone instead of buying it.
Nice.
And we do the same for enterprises on a
Yeah,
much greater scale of catalog. Laptop, tablets, and so on.
fantastic. And where are you based?
Paris.
Oh, cool. So we could switch in French, but we're not going to because otherwise only the French-speaking people will be able to follow. I'm based in Switzerland, by the way. So yeah, well, like I see myself a lot in your story here because this is exactly how I started Notice. It was not unlovable because it was 12 months ago, and lovable was not even there at this point, or really maybe the really beginning. It was at first on Pipe Dream, and there's the same frustration, and like you, before I started building it, I tried to find something that would do this, and I was going to be very happy paying for it. But basically, same problem as you. I was using already Notion. I liked the experience on the desktop. I hated it on the mobile. I call it the path
Yeah,
of most resistance instead of the path of least resistance.
yeah, it's terrible.
So yeah, I ended up using notes on my phone, like Apple Notes and reminders, and yeah, they just lived in a different universe than my computer. So was throwing things into the void, and I really basically created a first notice to just do this, like bring that content into the correct place into Notion, and then from there the story started, and I realized I could do much more now that I was starting to build that digital assets with all my contents. I wanted to consume it, so then I made Notice become better at consuming that content, and eventually um, I started to feel the need to automate some of those things, and this is the phase that we're right now, where you can start automating a bunch of things. Becomes kind of the main Notion automation platform. So I'm glad to hear that story, because that matched pretty much my experience. We do have a community. It's very new. I launched it first on Discord. I hated so much Discord that I switched to Slack. So if you go at the bottom of the website, there's like a
Oh,
Slack
okay. Well, I'll
website.
join. I'll join it. Yeah,
Join.
yeah, that's great.
And then like another very useful resource when you get started and you have thousands of questions, and something I'm quite proud of, because I procrastinated so much before doing this, was the L portal. And yeah, basically the L portal has everything into as much details as you can take in, into how you can connect other types of database, how you can do some advanced automations. And every week I'm releasing like new guides on different topics, such as like 2 weeks ago was how I manage to post directly on my social media from my Notion workspace using a third-party integrations called Notion Social. How I manage my help center in Notion using Notice and another integration. But they're beginner guides. It's it starts to be a lot, and the good thing about it is Notice is the like when you talk to Notice, it's being trained on the same help center, so it's synchronized to my. This is actually built on Notion, and it's synchronized to my own Notion, so it can actually do RAG on this
So,
content.
so I can query notice about something that is
This
on the help platform.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can go on the L platform.
Okay.
So that's, I think, like it used to be that I had this problem where Notice was not so good at understanding what Notice was able to do and not able to do. And so that was kind of the solution, that build this very big L portal, put as much content as possible into it, and then giving access to Notice. So when it has a question from a user, it can answer that question based on the alt center, and not hallucinate something out of the blue like LLMs like to do, basically. So like today, do you have any specific questions, any specific problems that you had during the onboarding, or things that you'd like me to help set up for you?
Not really. So I have a bunch of topics to discuss. The first one is, and those are mostly topics that I already brought to you through the help bot. But basically, I think the top something that it's also some feedback for you. The fact that it's hard to differentiate yourself, as an individual from yourself as a member of a team, um, and especially with companies that are operating on Notion. I realized that, of course, I want to be able to have my own space, but also to have Notice being able to interact and to assist me on my daily work. So the fact that it's right now connected to only one workspace is a strong limitation. One of the options that I considered was to, within the company workspace, create my within my private space. I'm not super comfortable with this because, of course, there are a bunch of, personal information that I might want to keep for myself, and I don't want to be sitting over there. But that's I think eventually it's a strong improvement when it will be able to use not just one but two workspaces that might be I mean, if we call them workspaces, but
Yeah, they're called workspaces. And yeah, I agree with this. I think the more useful Notice has become, and the more I'm hearing this feedback. It used to be something like very edgy, like a very edge case, but now I started use. There is a feature request on the website. If you scroll down at the bottom, you can see the roadmap, and you can vote for features. And this is getting more and more popular. There are two workarounds right now, and I realize that none of them are ideal. The first one is, the way you describe it, like even if you use your Notion company workspace, by default everything is private. So you have the private sections, and the team space are the place that are shared. So you can definitely, once you have like a Notion account, use your company account, and no one can access your personal space. It's your personal space. A bit like if you use 1Password, for example, you always have like your personal part, and then you have like the different safes that are shared with the company. But sometimes, so if you don't already have like a lot of content, that's a good way to do it. Sometimes people, they have like their Notion workspace for years, their personal one, and they also use their company, and it doesn't make sense to like merge the two. And I think it's still a subset of users right now. For those, what we do basically is that since you can use Notice on multiple channels, is they registered like one number on WhatsApp, another one on Telegram, and then because Notice is attached to a phone number, then they use two different Notice accounts on two different workspace. And then I give them like basically the same subscriptions for the two. I just activate the same plan for the two, so
okay.
they don't have to pay twice. And at least this way, they know that when they talk to WhatsApp, they're putting things in, for example, their Notion workspace. And when they talk to Telegram, it's their personal workspace. Because one thing that I was quite uncomfortable with, like there is the complexity of implementing that feature, of course, because the system was not built around the idea of having multiple workspace. And this creates a lot of edge case, like having like multiple databases that are linked the same. People are going to install like the Notice second brain system on their personal workspace and on their professional workspace. They all have the same names, and so what do you do with this? And then there is also the problem of not being entirely sure where Notice is putting things, because you just use like one channel, and the mistake can start to be quite painful, where like you ask Notice to create like your next appointment to the doctor for something very personal, and then it ends up in your team task on your professional workspace. And I can see those kind of dramas. So I really like the idea of being able to say like, this is my WhatsApp is for my professional, and my Telegram is for my more personal.
Okay. I see. Okay, very interesting. The second item for me is it's also that I'd love to know when you're able to offer like like an enterprise offer, so I can consider it more at an organizational level.
Yeah. So same, like I'm starting to have this request a bit more often, and especially because there are a lot of founders that appreciates the product. And right now it's like it's totally doable. It's just not advertised in the website, but basically I can activate like as much plans as you want into one single subscriptions, and then just provision those accounts so they already have a subscription. It's just that it's not a self-service yet because I don't have enough requests on this. But eventually, it will end up being in the portal where you can just actually right now you can also already when you check out in Stripe, you can already select the number of license that you want. It's just that there is
Okay.
not a part where you can just upload the phone numbers of your collaborators so they can start talking to Notice and have a plan activated. But it's just that
Okay.
extra step that I have to build. But if you want to, buy like a certain number of license, you can do this, and then basically you give me the phone numbers and I activate those for the people. So as soon as they start talking to Notice, they do the onboarding, and Notice will not ask them to activate their subscriptions because they already have one.
Okay. And so another few just quality of life is because as I had a little bit of a messy onboarding because I don't remember. Oh yeah, there was an issue with my phone number, and so I started to get confused with what email I used because I also had multiple email. And there's no. I would love to be able to say, hey, what is the email that I'm connected with? Because I there's the email of my workspace. No, I
Yeah.
have the email that is associated to my account on Notion, but I don't think it's related to the email that
Yeah.
Notice is using. So I had to search through a bunch of emails. So being able to have this kind of feedback.
You can ask Notice, like if it didn't work this time, like maybe Notice hallucinated something, but it has access to your user settings, like even in the
Oh,
main
okay.
prompt it's injected. And then you can also ask the, a lot of things happens in what I call the Notice portal. So you ask the link to the portal where you can manage your database, which Notion workspace is connected, your automations, your reminders, your usage, everything is in that portal. And there is also user settings where you can see your emails, first name, and put a custom prompt. We introduced this last week, that if, even though the paradigm of Notice is really to customize those database and the instructions that you put on top of them, now you can, if you have some instructions you want to apply for every database, you can just put that in your custom prompt, and that's in your portal. How comfortable are you with that? That's what I call like the Notice paradigm, the fact of like creating database and setting your
Not yet. Yeah,
you
I
know
haven't touched. I haven't really touched this part yet. For instance, I just added something in notes and document. I said I added always keep the original language of the document because sometimes it was always if I was uploading a document in French, in the on the page it was creating this. But I
mm,
also had an experience when I was dictating like a short minutes of a meeting in French, and the page was created in English. So I'm still trying to figure out like how to set it up properly.
yeah.
Um, I also
So
believe that, yeah.
so basically, just to show you around a bit, like can wait, let me just change the camera here. Yeah, it's okay. Doesn't matter. So basically, like when you ask the link to your portal, or if you use Telegram, you can just put like the portal command in Telegram. Here you get like a list of database, and for each of your database, you get your custom instructions. You cannot edit them yet there. For now, you need to edit them inside Notion. So if you open Notion, basically it's the description of each database that is used as custom instructions. You can also put instructions inside the description of the fields. So it can be very useful, like to tell Notice like on a specific field how you want this to be completed. And this is really the base of what I call the Notice paradigm, and I think it's something very unique. Is you can create like a lot of automations by thinking how you want the information to be saved. So you kind of create the database and the properties, and then you add your business logic on the top of the database, and then that allows like a huge level of complexity, because you can have like a lot of different databases that work with very different logics, but because the agents always ask where should it save things and then follow the instructions based on where it should save things, that allows those agents to grow very, very well. So that's, I think, like a key concept that you need to
Do you
understand.
have a good use case of something that is a bit sophisticated beyond what you have natively?
Oh yeah, many. But yeah, I wanted to make a video about this today if no one joined. But one that I really love, that I use today, is that I created a competitors database that uh, pretty much has no instructions. It's just like it's just an empty database where I can just go into any competitors that I have, and I can use the Notion web clipper and then save it in that database. Okay,
Okay.
um, and I'm going to show you multiple features that show like a global use case on how you can use Notice. And then basically I've set up an automation here. That is something that we released last week. It's a webhook automation, so I can put like my prompt, what I would send to Notice basically, and I can either run this on a schedule or run this on a webhook, and so it gives you like a URL. And what I just did is I went into Notion and I created an automation in the Notion database, my competitors database, and I said like every time I add a new competitor, just run this prompt. Okay. And what this prompt does, it just it asks Notice to do the following things. It asks Notice to do a deep search on that competitors and its features, to search for similar features inside my Notion workspace, to generate a funny cartoon for the header of a blog article, and then to upsert a new blog article in my blog database. And basically, I have like in my Notion workspace another database in my content calendar here, that's called blog. And that blog database contains also a bunch of instructions right there. So anytime Notice needs to upsearch something in that database, it needs to perform a deep search. It cannot use H1 titles. It needs to create an image, save it in the hero image. There's some instructions here to tell Notice, hey, use the image generation model to generate the new image here. And so basically what it does here is this, like this is a blog that I wrote today with Notice. So I went to the librarian website. I saved it in my competitors database, so it triggers that automation. That automation wrote this article, created this hero image, and sent me a message to review the article. I just reviewed the article. I marked it as published, and then I use Framer.
And it sent you a message to review it
Yeah,
because you
because
have an
here,
instruction that says that it has to message you.
no, because here I choose the channel. So here I put email, and so this is basically like if you send this to Notice, it's just do this, just like text the webhook has like the trigger, and then it runs these instructions with the webhook payload attached to it, and then it replies to you on the channels that you've selected. So I selected emails, so I received my blog by email with everything I had to review. And yeah, I just clicked on the link and got here, and I changed a few things, and then I marked it as published. And then I use Framer for my own website, for the Notice website. So if I go here, the cool thing with Framer, but there's many ways to do this, is that I have connected my blog CMS to Notion. So I just go here, I click sync, and it published my blog, the one that is just wrote. And then I pushed this even further, is that I made the footer here dynamic. So it because those are comparison with with competitors, it already populates those from my database, because they're the only one that are tagged this way. So now if you go on the website, with me spending literally 5 minutes today, you have a new competitor showing here. This is the librarian, and then you get the blog post, and everything here has been written by Notice. And just just like this. We can run a demo. Like it will take a few minutes to run, but I had other ones that I wanted to run today. So, for example, so we can try
You
running
see,
this.
this is I would say the limitation of a tool like yours is that it's it's so hard for us to picture that you are able to do it this way, and that it's a sandbox, and we have to really learn how to play with it to be able to get to all these use cases. So that's why it's going to I believe that it's going to be very important that you can illustrate all of these use cases, all these case studies.
Yeah, that's why I'm building the portal, and that's why I'm spending so much time, also using the product, because I can see where it works, where it fails, and so on. And then when I get like a good use case that I believe in, then I write a guide on this and I put this in the portal so people can very easily reproduce. And in a couple of months, I'll introduce what I call blueprints. It's basically the same onboarding experience that you had, but for a very specific use case. And it will configure everything for you. We'll configure like the automation, make sure you have the right Notion database installed, and basically take you by hand to do all of this. For now, it's still like a product. I still believe it's a product for
Yeah,
early
of course.
adopters, where there is a lot of, we ask so much from the user. We ask them to be so creative about how they can use those features, and it's not going to talk
And tell me,
to
so
just everyone.
in a way, it has agents, right? So it's not just an LLM running; it has agents. Perfect.
It's further than
Yeah,
this. It has
multi-agents.
multi-agents. So there is a planning engines that plan at every message that you run and runs multiple agents in a row. And each agent has access to a bunch of functions that it can run, a bunch of tools. And then you have like emerging agents that merge all the messages written by those agents during that turn and send this
So I'm
back to you.
asking this because what would it take for it today to be able to take control over my inbox, my email inbox? Because as an agent, I would be able to share my credentials with it, right?
Yeah, so it's like the next step for me is going to build that integration with Google Calendar
Okay.
and your emails, and basically then I've built that infrastructure for multi agents where I can very easily create new agents, and I give functions to those agents and prompts, and then people customize them
So
with
it could
the
so
different
I could use Notion as a platform where I can review all of my emails and the proposed draft.
Not
No,
for
I
now.
understand.
Not for
Yeah.
now because it doesn't have it. But like one use case, for example, that you're gonna be able to do in a couple of months when you have those integrations, is right now, for example, you can call Notice station. You can call on WhatsApp and have a live conversation with Notice.
I
So
can right now.
yeah, right now it's since last week, and it can search your workspace. It can search the web. It has access to your WhatsApp conversation that you were having with it, and it can hand over task to do asynchronously. So if there is something, like if you ask Notice on the phone,
I,
like how can
how
you
do
send this?
how do I do that? Because I totally missed it.
You click the call button, like you
Okay.
call anyone on WhatsApp, and then you
Okay.
get on the phone and it picks up, and you say, "Hey, Notice, I'd like to discuss the contract that we sent to
This is awesome.
Renault last week. Can you search the details for me? What was the SLA that we agreed on?" And it will tell you, "Hey, give me a second to search your Notion workspace, and then get back to you." And then you can hand over tasks as well. So you can say, "Hey, can you send this to my email?" And it would say, "Hey, sure, I'll do this right now," and we'll hang up. And then it just triggers back this same things that if you wrote Notice, send this to my email, and then you'll receive this.
Okay, I'm going to experiment. So that brings me to my last two questions. The first one is more of a concern, which is
wait, let me just finish
yeah.
like the cool workflow with emails that I am building right now. My idea is like, for example, to be able to build one of those automation that I sent you, I showed you before in the portal, where you'd basically go there and where is it? Where's my portal? There. You'd basically go there and you'd say WhatsApp, for example, and every morning of the work week, you say just call me to review my email inbox. First, check the email in the inbox. 2, call me. 3, we'll discuss follow-up. You understand the idea. And basically, you do this. You can already do this right now with Notis, but it cannot check your inbox. But you can already tell Notis, I have like an automation like this that is very similar, where I'll say, help me organize my day. And I tell Notis that every day to find
awesome.
the
I
tasks
already have a few ideas
that are late, propose me a plan, and so on. And basically every day it does this, sends me a message. And if I want to discuss this live, I can call Notis right away and I'll be okay. Like, you just send me that plan. Let's discuss. I want to do this first and do that and blah, blah, blah. And basically take notes of all of this. And then once I hang up, it's going to update the task. And then the tasks are going to show in my calendar, in my Notion calendar. So yeah, calendars and emails are they're going to end up being integrated with the same kind of automation capabilities. Now it's just about building the integrations and making them work well enough, like we did with Notion. So it's not just a gimmick like a lot of MCP servers are, and it's really useful for people doing actual work.
So brings me to my my concern is the cost of operating all this, because you might have seen that very recently my Notis started to go ballistic on it was almost spending like $1 per query.
Yeah.
So how do we, especially like, I was hoping that with a $20 plan, it gives you plenty of interaction, but I'm concerned now that to figure out if it's economically like viable as a customer, or if it's going to end up costing me like $200 a month.
Well, I hope that it's going to end up costing you $200 a month, to be honest. And not for the reason that you think, but
I understand.
I think if you're willing to pay 200 for something, it means that it creates a huge value for your life, and that's what I aspire doing. Like I'm a Cursor AI customer. I pay $200 a month, and I'm glad paying $200 a month. It replaced $6,000 a month engineer for me.
I lost you for a second.
Yeah. So I was just saying, I'm glad to pay $200 for the value that I get. So the question is really what kind of values you'll get in your specific problem. The one that you shared with me, there's obviously no value for adding a task and paying like 25 cents for a task. And I was actually working on this today, and I just realized that the way I had to do a bunch of things, because Notice is basically a single thread. You talk to Notion, to WhatsApp, and you cannot open new WhatsApp windows like you do with ChatGPT. So Notice has to be responsible of cleaning the thread and making sure that we keep relevant context, but not too much of it. And so, and we have to do this for every agent and for the planning engine. And so there are a bunch of very complex and I think smart things to be done. But what I realized is that on the side of OpenAI, they were cleaning the message that I was asking, but not cleaning the instructions for the run. So you would accumulate a bunch of tokens that was run instructions that are completely useless. So I was rewriting this from scratch right now. And this, I think, is going to drastically reduce, not in every case, because like a lot of time the triage engine says, oh, this is a new conversation, I'm going to move on, and creates a whole new thread. And it just like you just like lose everything that was before. But when that thread, that triage engine fails, which was the case for you, and basically the context window grow bigger and bigger, and it kind of stuck the AI thinking like, I cannot clean it because there's so much interesting stuff there, so it's never gonna clean it. And that's the logic that wasn't working.
Awesome. Super interesting. Well, two last things. The first one is, if you need any beta testers of stuff, I'm a productivity geek, and I'm also a tech entrepreneur. So, of course, love trying new stuff, and I'm okay to break my nose on the wall against the wall sometime.
Oh, here we
So the second point is also, what is the right way to, like, I also want to share feedback all the time, because like it's in my interest. I want the product to get the service to get better, because I can really see myself using it. But I also want to be able to share, when there's something that is not happening as I expected, or what is the best way to do that?
Yeah, it's really the way you did it. Just text me, and yeah,
Okay.
sure. Sometimes I'm like, ugh. But the truth is, the last 6 months, the product really advanced because of the feedbacks of the users. And
Okay.
not everyone is power user forever. A lot of people, they will get crazy with the product, and then the product finds like a nice place in their workflow, and then it kind of die down. So I'm always happy when there are new users that come and they're super pumped up with the product and then discovering a lot of stuff. There are the users breaking stuff. There are the users that reports the most bug. They're the one that make me challenge what I do. And then eventually they become kind of long-term users. And I don't get enough feedback from them anymore. So it's part of the circle of life of users with Notis, and we're still at a range of new users where this is definitely manageable for me as like a solo founder.
Okay, amazing. Well, last question. I remember in one of your early videos, you were saying that it's not supposed to be a conversational AI, right? It's
Yeah,
more like a kind of a fire and forget
yeah,
type of interaction. But to me, this is something that I really miss, and where I eventually go back to ChatGPT. But then, in a way, I'm frustrated because I feel like I'm starting to, the same way I was, I used to have the ChatGPT and Claude, and then I dropped Claude because I was like, okay, I'm building up now so much data on the ChatGPT front that I wanted to be able to reuse and leverage all of this context, that now I just want to keep committing to it.
yeah,
And now I'm kind of doing the same thing with Notice, where I'm loading a bunch of stuff. So I want to be able now to also trigger some conversation where I can iterate rather than
yeah,
just asking for something and then get the final product.
yeah. Well, I had to choose my niche, and my niche is so huge, it's so horizontal, it's already way too much for me. But I had to choose what I was optimizing for, and because of what Notion AI was doing, I thought, okay, I'm gonna optimize for intelligence and autonomy while people are on the go. And that's to be honest, that's already a lot. Like everyone's always tell me like, you should go into niche and just like get horizontal and get very good at this, and I refuse to do this until now. Um, to give like a concrete solution to your problem, I think what you're committing in is the Notion ecosystem for building your second brain. And basically what's going to happen is models, Notice, Notion AI, ChatGPT, Claude, anything is going to get better at consuming the highly curated content that you're putting into Notion. And that's why I think it makes more sense to do this into Notion than into a brand new startup anywhere, because you want a name that is recognized by a lot of users, so those company invest enough time to become very good at consuming that content. And now they're very bad at it. Like Claude MCP, I made a video a week ago about that. It's absolutely terrible for consumer. I mean, it's not a problem with Claude; it's the problem of Notion MCP servers that is absolutely terrible. I had to invest tremendous amount of time to make Notice be good at understanding a Notion workspace. For now, I think Notion AI is making a lot of progress for being that real-time
Okay, interesting.
conversational experience. So I use Notion AI all the time. I don't see it as a competing product. It's a competing product because I think at some points they will catch up with what I do, and it won't make sense to be like a Notice customer. So I have to keep pushing the limits of what my product do versus theirs. Because to be honest, in the first place, like Notion AI is 2.5 years old. They just introduced the ability to query their own database, which I find fucking ridiculous. So I think if they were working on the right things, my product wouldn't exist in the first place. So, but they're definitely making very good progress. Like the agentic experience that they introduced really feels like using Cursor for Notion, and I think it's a very good experience right now on desktop. It's still not available on mobile. It's still not
Oh.
voice activated, but eventually they're gonna get there.
But you believe that this is so to you, using Notion AI is an alternative to using ChatGPT?
Yeah, I think it's better alternative than using ChatGPT.
Okay, so you
They
don't.
use the same model. They use the same model.
I lost you.
I say it used the same model, or at least it's supposed to. I don't know if Notion AI is being cheap and use like GPT-5 mini instead of using GPT-5 or something like that. They might be. But it's supposed to use the same model, and it's supposed to be based on your own context. And it's becoming very good at querying database or understanding what it needs to query, when it needs to perform a RAG. Yeah, doing a bunch of things that Notice has been doing for 6 months, since last week or something like that. You can do it.
So if you were to map right now, what is that you would still use ChatGPT to compared to what you would use Notice for and Notion AI for?
Well, I try to use ChatGPT less and less.
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna experiment.
Because yeah, like now I find I really like the deep search from ChatGPT, and now I can Notice use the same API, so I get the same results from the deep search. Same for the web search, same for the image generation. So all of this that are kind of long-lasting tasks, I tend to do in Notice, and also it makes more sense once you figure it out a workflow that works. Like for example, the blog workflow that I show you, then you become very lazy. Like you don't want to go to ChatGPT to generate your blog post and your image and spend like that 30 minutes, even though it used to take you like a day to work to write a blog post. But once you can see that all of those things, they can be done by an AI, you want to go the last mile and have the AI do the whole article for you. And so I end up doing this in Notice directly.
Interesting.
And generally when I often I start with the first draft with Notice, because often like I'm not in front of my computer and I'm doing something else, so I just ask Notice. And when I need to write on those drafts, I use Notion AI because it has access to my content. I can select things. I can have like a text editor experience where I can select some text and say, no, I want this to change. So I ideally I would just be able to use Notion AI and Notice, and just consider Notice as the intern that has access to my Notion and Notion AI that I use mostly for things that I want to delegate, either because I'm on the go or because I don't want to do them myself. And then I use Notion AI for like a cursor kind of a assistant.
Okay, so potentially I would stop using ChatGPT and I would use Notion AI for the conversational stuff.
Yeah, I believe that right now.
Okay.
That is becoming like a good solution. And if it's not entirely right now, it's a matter of a few months before this really consolidates and Yeah, unless, and that's the thing, ChatGPT is going to fight with releasing new features, so people keep using ChatGPT as a product and not use Notion AI. I am doing the same thing, so you just don't stop your Notice AI subscription and just use Notion AI. And Notion AI is doing the same thing. So no one wants the market to kind of consolidate, because they all want to keep the users. So I think as an early adopters, you always have a hard time kind of consolidating things, because they're going to push the frontier of what those tools can do.
Very interesting.
I have a lot of users that come right now from India, for example, or Brazil, like developing markets, and they just see Notice as like a good, 60% of the best that every platform can do on a device that they have, like, because a lot of those market very rarely use like a computer, or they do so much of their business already on WhatsApp, so they don't care that Notice takes like a minute to respond. It's just like it's better. Like, if you have to choose one tool, that's the tool that you're going to choose, basically.
I'd say very interesting. It's just that I never paid for Notion AI, so I never used it. So I probably totally missed the point here.
Yeah, I made a video recently when if you look at the live where I compared Claude Code, not Claude Code, Claude MCP, Notion AI, and Notice. The results were very similar to what you get with Notice, in terms of the ability to use the product itself. I think right now, the main difference, like as of now, is the automation capabilities that are absolutely inexistent in Notion AI, the voice inputs that doesn't exist, and the fact that they're never going to let you use WhatsApp or any messaging apps as your main things. For a lot of people, that messaging space is a very important thing. That's something I didn't suspect it when I started, but for a lot of people, they want to do the work in the messaging apps where they're already working with other people, and they want to work with AI there. So this, I think, is really going to keep being like a Notice space more than a Notion AI.
Are you planning a Slack integration, by the way?
Yeah, like it's there. It's in the feature requests. I didn't have tons of them. I was also thinking of doing iMessage, but like most people right now, at least the customers that I acquire every week, seems to be very satisfied with Telegram and WhatsApp. I have nearly 50-50 between the two, which surprised me.
And you still recommend Telegram over WhatsApp?
Well, it becomes more difficult now that they have the WhatsApp call. No, I recommend that you use the two.
I need to start using WhatsApp, because right now I'm getting all my notifications on. So if I create a notification, if I say create this task and remind it to me, and I do it on Telegram, it will remember to remind it to me on Telegram, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so each channels manage its own threads of conversations and all context. They just share the same Notion workspace and same settings. But then it's smart enough that when you create an automation, that it's going to create an automation for the channels that you're using. And it works with emails as well. So if you ask Notice to create an automation and you ask it by emails, it's going to start sending
but I can't
reminders
in the portal set up it in a way that every reminder must be sent on WhatsApp. So even though I might create it on Telegram, but it has to send it.
Yeah, you can. You can just go in the portal and you open the reminders and you change the channel. WhatsApp.
After I can do it, but I can't create a rule for this. Okay.
Yeah. One thing that, for example, like there is a page in the Help Center that compares the limitation. But for example, WhatsApp is a bit annoying because they limit us to 1,600 characters. So you have to convert to audio all the time. They have just 30 minutes audio, where Telegram has much bigger and longer audios for recording meetings and things like this. You can easily go to 1 hour with Telegram, and we're going to be able to improve this in the future as well. Whereas with WhatsApp, it's fixed. We cannot do anything. I really like the reactions on Telegram, like being able to see what's not.
Having some feedback is really helping.
When it's failed, and it just didn't introduce this in WhatsApp. So overall, I really love the experience on Telegram. Also, the commands, like it makes like when I need the link to the portal, I get it instantly. Whereas with WhatsApp, I have to ask like a natural language question, so it takes minutes to get back. Um, but WhatsApp was the first one to introduce the voice API. I hope Telegram does it soon, because I think it's a, you were talking about real time, and my view on this was, I think a good way to choose whether you're optimizing for intelligence or for speed is to segment the modality you use. So if I text, generally I have muscle memories that once I've sent a message, I close the app and I go do something else, because that's how I interact with humans. But if I call, it means that I want an answer right away. So I can choose which modality I want depending on what I want the modality to be optimized for. So if I am at the counter renting a car and I need my passport number, I don't want to wait 2 minutes to get it. I call Notis and I get it right away.
So I need to add. So how do I? Because as I've only been interacting with it on Telegram, how do I add Notis on WhatsApp?
You just start talking on WhatsApp, and if you use the same phone number, you just talk to your
so I
Notis
go
account.
I go back on the website and I say talk to Notis. Okay.
Yeah, just to get the link to the conversation, you just sign up and you select the WhatsApp icon instead of the Telegram. But it's basically no sign up, because both they verify your phone number. So I just need to make sure that those requests, they comes from those platforms, and then if they come from those platforms with
Okay.
your phone
Well,
numbers,
I'm going to do a test right now. Awesome. Thank you very much for all this, and I'll keep providing feedback, sharing my experience.
Well, looking forward for it. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great day. And you can come back anytime. You know the website, office
Absolutely.
-hours.notice.ai, and you can jump in anytime you want to discuss something new. It was great chat.
Likewise.
Great
Goodbye.
meeting you.
Thank you.